ভয়কারে ঘে বসুন বাঘের সঙ্গে দেখা হলো দাঁড়া বললো গ্যাস কি এমন
Okay, sorry for the interruption. The meeting automatically gets ended, so I sent a new meeting link. So the ode by John Keats, which is in our syllabus, Ode to Autumn, accepts the note of acceptance and it accepts the end of the cycle of life, which is death. So the three stanzas of the ode are replete with all kinds of Keatsian sensuousness, including his haunted synesthesia. Now, that is why the features of spring and autumn become songs in the last stanza. Okay, so synesthesia is a term which means the union of two সেন্সেস ওকে মানে দুটো যে সেন্স মানে আমাদের যে পাঁচটা মানে সেন্সরি অর্গান রয়েছে তার সাথে যে আমাদের সেন্স গুলো কাজ করে তো সেই যে সেন্সরি অর্গানস এর যে সেন্স গুলো রিলেটেড সেন্স গুলো যেমন স্মেল দেন টেস্ট দেন হিয়ার লিসনিং seeing the ability of seeing. So if the two senses are placed side by side, or if the two senses of any two sensory organs are placed simultaneously, this particular aesthetics sense means synesthesia. So the synesthesia, the wanted synesthesia is found at the last stanza of the poem, where the features of spring and autumn become songs in the last stanza. So the second stanza gives us the greater personification of English poetry. But it should be remembered that although autumn is personified in female or even male androgynous figures, unlike blank personification of other poets, the device does not remain abstract. Everything is described very concretely throughout the poem. His concreteness, his means Keats's concreteness and the personifications bordering on the creation of a poetic myth revealed Keats's Hellenism as well. So Milton, the famous English poet, said that good poetry should be simple, sensuous, and passionate. If that be the touchstone, to autumn can easily pass for a true gem. Keats advised Shelley to load every dip with ore. So A reading of Ode to Autumn uh, uh, shows that Keats was not simply preaching, he finally practiced what he preached. So, in the first stanza, the season autumn is seen in its ripeness, quote unquote, ripeness, in its full maturity. In the second stanza, we find the great personification of English poetry, where the season autumn is personified in a feminine shape. And in the third stanza, we find that Keats accepts the end of the cycle of life. So this poem is replete with sensuousness and with imagery drawn from nature. Now, no less remarkable is Keats's use of simple words in the poem. It has been observed that the poem is the most monosyllabic and English in nature. Together with this goes the centrifugal structure of the description. We have a widening circular movement. So there is shown a movement, or Keats has shown or has presented a circular movement from the very first stanza to the last stanza of the poem. In the first stanza, we are inside the kernel. So, quote unquote kernel, the word is in the poem in the first stanza, line number 8. So, we are inside the kernel, Kernel. In the second stanza, we are into a wider of the concentric circles. The activities of the human world in the personification of autumn. So, in the last stanza, we are lifted into the outermost circle. The last word of the poem is skies. So the journey started from the kernel and ended into the skies. Okay. So the circular movement starts with kernel and ends with skies. So the journey where Keats has actually presented the circular movement from the very first stanza to the last one. In the first stanza, we are inside the kernel. Kernel is Kernel. Kernel is the softer edible part of a nut or seed or fruit stone. So in the second stanza, we are into wider on the concentric circles, the activities of the human world in the personification of autumn. And in the third or last stanza, we are lifted into the outermost circle. The last word of the poem is skies. So the journey started with kernel and ended into the skies. মানে ভেতর থেকে মানে মানে যাত্রাটা শুরু হচ্ছে কার্নেল is the soft edible part of a fruit or nutshell. So inside the kernel, we are inside the kernel, Kernel. Then we are in the human world. We are lifted in the human world, where autumn is personified in a feminine shape. And in the last stanza, we are lifted into the outermost circle, and the poem ends with skies. So the journey started from inside and ended into the skies, or the outside world. Okay, so inside to the outside, from inside to the outside. So the journey of the poem shows the circular movement of life from birth to death. Okay, বোঝা গেল? Is there any confusion regarding the poem? So you don't have any query? Fine. This much for today. The critical analysis of the poem. So Ode to Autumn is done. In the next class, we will start with Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats. Thank you for being with me. I end the meeting here today. Thank you.